Hello, ma'am, and hello, everybody. I welcome you to our communications and documentation workshop. And today's theme is short films. As you already know, it's our September's deliverable. And to guide us on that, we have the very awesome Akanksha ma'am with us. And so I'll just give you a brief intro of her. So Akanksha ma'am has been in the filmmaking industry for the last 20 years. So that's kind of the average age of our cohort. Having been in the industry for 20 years and not just being there, but she specializes with natural history filmmaking, and she has produced many films on even on wildlife in India. And not just that, not just her work, but she has gotten recognized by the President of India and has been awarded for the National Films Award 4 times. So that's a great honor that she'll be guiding us today on how to carry on with the short film making. And to add more to, so that you can get an idea of what Akanksha ma'am is, she's also a juror in the International Emmy documentary category, and that's a very big thing. And she's also the founder of Women of the Wild series in Pakistan, in India, and Malaysia. So I'm very excited to learn from her, and let's see how she narrates her story. She's very good at it, clearly. So it's a thrill. We'll get to hear her. So, ma'am, over to you now.
Thank you so much for having me here today. I'm sorry my phone keeps buzzing, so if there's something very urgent, I might have to take a call. All right. Um, there's been a little bit of a glitch. My computer crashed, so I had to quickly make a presentation again, which I have done. It's not up to the mark, but it kind of tells us what we need to know. So thank you all. Yes, I am Akanksha Sood Singh. I am a natural history filmmaker, and I've been around for 20 years now. In my career of 20 years, I have very largely worked on nature, environment, and wildlife in the long format. That means I have done long form films, which are typically an hour, 45 minutes and above to an hour, hour and a half. Short forms is something that it has always existed. It hasn't always got attention, but it has been with the advent of social media that short form films are gaining a lot of traction. And this is primarily because what is happening is that there is a lot of content that is getting generated, all right, that is being put on social media platforms. Traditional television in a lot of ways is breaking down because of social media and because of OTT platforms like Netflix, Curiosity, Amazon, Peacock, Hulu, Hotstar. Okay, they're breaking the way traditional television works. Unfortunately for short forms, right now, they're neither here nor there. Why? Because short forms is something that even OTT platforms, where traditional television has not looked at short forms, even OTT platforms don't look at short form films. They get relegated to being, films that you see on social media, on YouTube mostly. There's a lot of content that is getting generated, video content, film content that is getting generated every second and being put out there. All right. And a lot of these films get lost in the maze, whether they're long form or short form. Okay. Some films get viral, but going viral, don't misunderstand that as being remembered. It's very different. All right. Films go viral, but they're forgotten. You've got a huge lot of likes and shares and forwards that doesn't translate into much. If the people who you have made the film for remember your film in today's time, I would say even after 3 months, trust me, you've made an impact. And filmmaking is all about impact, whether it is influencing the audience in a way to take action about something, giving them some kind of information, creating awareness, entertaining them, whatever it is. Filmmaking, long form, short form, medium form, is all about creating an impact. So what I'd like to do is I'd like to start off. I have a small presentation. Um, can everyone see my screen?
Akanksha, what we can do is just to intervene in this. If we can, have everybody switch on their camera, we can click a picture and then, kind of start with the session.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, everybody here, let Akanksha, I need Akanksha to be, if you all can be visible and be nice. Yes. They all are in different, if you can see, everyone has mentioned in their names that where they are from. And this fellowship, Akanksha, is from all over the place, and they all selected from a big number of applications we received, and the kind of consolation process we had. And these all are this Badal. So you're in Kurja now. Back to Kurja. Okay.
Yes, ma'am. I'm at my farm today.
Acha.
Very lucky.
If possible, that I will give you all a ride about my farm after the end of the session.
Yeah. It's now between Manika, you and Akanksha for your session.
Okay, ma'am.
Yeah, Sanjay, can you click pictures for us? Yeah, Kripal is not very visible, your camera. Yeah. So what we have, Akanksha, here is because end of the month, they're going to have this short film as one of their deliverable. And you have seen in the deliverable document, we have given them some brief and outline. And your session will help them to kind of, put their thoughts together and as well as understand it better. So they're all looking forward to it. So every month, as per their deliverable, they have these sessions. One is the communication sessions and another technical sessions, which will happen for 2 days, end of the month, around the last week of the month. So it's called the boot camps. Yeah. Thank you. We're done. Yes, Akanksha, over to you. Thank you. And I'll switch off camera in between. That's okay. Yeah.
So everyone can see my screen. Yeah. All right. Because now the presentation screen has gone like onto one corner. So. All right. So these are your topics. What you all are making is a short film up to 1 minute on any one of these topics. A short film on topics like these essentially become public service messages. All right, that's one aspect of it. It could be a nice fiction film you can make. You can make a public service message. You can make an animation film. You can make a visually oriented film. You can make films using stills where you stitch pictures together. You can give them movement, or you can not give them movement. You can have a film which has music and narration over it, or you can have a film which has music and text over it. You can have a film which doesn't have any music and you can play with sound. There are lots of ways of making a film. It eventually depends on your creativity. All right. Starting with, I'd like to show you some different styles. I'm sure you have seen a lot of these, but some styles that I'd like to show you are things like this. So there's visual and text. Short films, visual and text. If I open this, can you see it? Can you see my browser? Alka? No?
Manika, you need to keep on engaging with Akanksha. Manika? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, no, we can't see.
Now?
Yeah, now we can see.
This is an example of a short film on Save Your Water, Save Our Water by WWF UK, and this is what it is.
There should be audio also because we can't hear that. No, no audio.
There is no audio. That's the thing about this film. You know, there is no music. The first shot had the sound of the water flowing. The second sound has this very static hum coming of something that sounded like an insect, and that is what it is. It's two shots made together, a public service message, and it is a short film. All right. Now I'll give you another example of a short film.
There's another thing that will happen when they're going to make film Akanksha.
Yeah.
That they're all placed with different organizations, and organization would like to get their work documented, and so that they can use it also because they're hosting them.
Okay.
That also might happen. When they'll discuss deliverable with them, they might come up with the idea, hey, we have this, why don't you do this?
Okay. So that's a short film that uses music, and it uses text, it uses visuals, and it tells you something.
Ready to hatch some
Sorry,
cool pets.
sorry. My digital avatar is either wildlife or cartoons because of my children. Here's an example of a short film that uses narration.
I am water. To humans, I am simply just there. I'm something they just take for granted. But there is only so much of me, and more of them every single day. I start as rain in the mountains, flow to the rivers and streams, and end up in the ocean. Then the cycle begins again. And it will take me 10,000 years to get back to the state I'm in now. But to humans, I'm just water, just there. Where will humans find me when there are billions more of them around? Where will they find themselves? Will they wage wars over me, like they do over everything else? That's always an option. But it's not the only option.
It's a series of films that Conservation International had done using celebrities to do voiceovers, and you must see this on their website. Here's another example of a short film. Sorry.
I am to come full circle now. to rise and break new ground. Where the leaves fall from the trees, and the mountains meet the sea. She's lost her way, let's give her space to breathe. Let's cross the horizon and meet the setting sun. It's easy to forget we're not the only one. Baby, please, but the earth goes on and on. You can't see that she is bleeding, so we can pretend there's nothing wrong. We're all connected by one being, most leave behind. We are all connected by what we leave behind. For time here must be bleeding.
This is an example of a film, a short film that has used music only. There's no text, there's no narration, there's specially composed music. Then there are films which are called animation films, right? They're expensive, but here's an example.
Water. We've got loads, right? I mean, you turn on the tap and it just comes right out. You could one-up Niagara Falls with a water feature off your roof. Chase away raccoons with a supercharged water soaker. Or can you? Water means life. We need it to survive. Think about it. We need it for our farms, factories, cities, and towns. If the total world's water supply was 100 liters, the amount of drinkable water would be equal to only half a teaspoon. But 65% of indoor water use, that's drinkable water, is in the bathroom. See that teaspoon? The average Ontarian uses 260 liters of water per day. That's almost twice as much as the average German. Plus, a changing climate means lower lake levels and less rainfall and snow, so there's less fresh water. That teaspoon is shrinking all the time, so let's protect it. Turn off that tap when you brush your teeth. You're not the maid of the mist, so don't take a half-hour shower. And never put anything down the drain that you wouldn't drink. Our water is precious. Let's protect it.
Now, another example of a film which has music, which has visuals, which has animation, which has text.
One million plant and animal species are at risk of extinction. The problem is, without this biodiversity, humans are in trouble. Biodiversity is the term used to describe the variety of all life on Earth. Earth's species, their characteristics, even their habitats, are what maintain the health and resilience of nature. More biodiversity, the more secure all life is, including ours.
Biodiversity is the foundation of all the life on Earth. So we need biodiversity in the form of pollinators to keep our crops growing and to produce the food that we need. We need biodiversity to produce all the medicines that we are needing. And we need biodiversity to keep healthy ecosystems to sequester the carbon that we need to combat climate change.
In the last 50 years, humans have wiped out 68% of animal populations. Experts say the planet is undergoing its 6th mass extinction.
Biggest die-off of life on Earth since the giant meteor that wiped out the dinosaurs?
If that doesn't scare you, consider this. Biodiversity provides everything humanity needs for free. If we were to put a number on it, the value of goods and services provided by biodiversity is estimated to amount to $125 trillion per year. That's more than 2/3 of global GDP. The continued loss of biodiversity affects the food we eat, the water we drink, to say nothing of our economy. Floods, fires, disease outbreaks all have connections to biodiversity loss.
Why can't we stop this?
As long as we disturb wild animals and their ecosystems, these viruses will continue jumping into us and causing trouble.
Conservationists say that protecting at least 30% of land and 30% of sea on Earth by 2030 is critical for stopping and reversing the loss of species around the globe.
The good news is that there's a whole suite of tools that we can implement. It's not just about creating national parks and protected areas, although that is important. It's also about integrating the economic value of everything nature gives us into all of our decisions. And it's about partnering with local and indigenous communities. Up to 80% of all plant and animal species and 17% of carbon stored in the world's forests is on indigenous lands. So it's essential that the lands and rights of indigenous people are recognized if we want to save the planet and all of us that call it home.
Okay, so an example of an artistic film. You can do this with visuals, you can do this with photographs. This is something called Cinemagraphs, which is basically a hybrid between a photograph and a video. Each still is given some kind of a movement, or and it's played in an infinite loop. These are still photographs that are played in an infinite loop to give it movement. Okay, I'll stop here because it's a bit long. It is a short film, but it's a long film. And the last example that I want to show you is how you can use stills creatively to tell a story. So basically, what you saw was, different ways of making a film. Some have, it's a combination of music, it's a combination of music, narration, text, animation, visuals. Visuals can be something that you have shot. It could be photographs, it could be visuals or footage that you download from the internet. But please ensure that this footage that you work with, if you are getting it from a third party or from the internet, it is it doesn't have a copyright on it, and that you should be able to use it. If you're going to associate yourself with an institution and make a film for an institution, all right, and you use copyright footage from the internet, and if that institution ends up putting your film on the internet, so anywhere on the web, it can lead to a problem for the institution and for you. So you have to search for free footage banks, copyright-free footage, copyright-free music also. Remember that technology today is very advanced, that if you use someone's copyrighted music also, you can get caught and you can get sued for this. All right, I'll take you back to my presentation. Sorry, hold on. I'm not very good with this. And my presentation is here. Can you all see it? Just give me one yes. Anyone?
Yes, ma'am, we can.
So eventually what happens is, in any film that you make, no matter what duration it is, no matter what the end result is, what's very important in any film, whether it's made out of visuals or just music or just actual audio, sync audio, or you're using stills, storytelling is very, very important an aspect. And for all of you, even in your 1 minute story, a film that you make, create a story that you want to tell. There should be a beginning, there should be a middle and an end. And probably in your case, a call to action. A call to action is something that we have in the end of a film, where you want to tell your audiences to do something. All right, we'll come to that. But before that, what is a story? A story essentially is, a story gets created or a story happens when a character, and a character could be a person, an animal, or a thing. It could be anything, okay? A character encounters a complicating situation that he, she, or it confronts and resolves. There is a beginning, there is a middle, there is an end. So you have a character, for example, a young boy who becomes your character, who's living in a slum area in a very big city, and who has a problem going to school every day on time because he's not being able to take a bath because he has to go to a public toilet where everyone queues up, for their morning essentials of cleaning, washing, and everything, and he gets late. That is the problem. He has to confront it. All right. He wants to reach school on time. That's his confrontation. That's his goal. And how does he resolve it? Now, whether he gets his parents to build toilet in the house, or he puts some kind of a rule over there where, children first, or people who have to go to work first. That is the resolution that is the solution. Okay, so a story is something like that. You can do that with a real person, you can do that with an animal, you can do that with a tree, you can do that with a tap, you can do that with a dripping tap, you can do that with anything, but try to tell your story. All right, why is this important, and what is not a story? A string of facts put together. The black bear is about 7 feet long from nose to tail. It has 2 to 3 feet high at the shoulders. It has small eyes, round ears, a brown snout, a large body, a short tail. This is all facts. There is no story over here. You're putting facts together, which is available for anybody on the internet or in any book to read. You're not bringing in anything new on the table. You're just putting facts together and making this large sentence to narrate. That is not a story. Topics, like what you have, your 5 topics, 6 topics on water conservation, water use, judicious use of water, land erosion, man-animal conflict, leopard problems. All of these are topics. They're not stories. What you have been given over here, these 5 things are topics. They're not stories. You have to, in your film, think of a story to talk about these topics. All right? And the third thing, messages. In the end, in any film that you see, in a short film, you have, save water, save trees, save whales, save sharks, close the tap, stop wildlife trafficking, report abuse, call this number. All of these are messages that are not stories. This is a call to action that gets put at the end of a film to make the audience take action, do something. All right? Those are not the climax of your film or the story or the climax of your story. Those are just messages or call to action. But in a story, a string of facts also exists. The topic gets covered and there is a message. So a story, while it's not these things alone, it's a combination of all of these. And it touches your audience's emotion. It touches their heart. It touches their mind. It focuses their attention, okay? And it inspires them to do something. That call to action that you have written, report abuse. If your film has touched your audience, all right, it has focused their attention and moved them in some way, is when your call to action of report abuse will make your audience pick up the phone and report an abuse that he has seen or she has seen. Okay? And when that call comes, because of your film, you know you have made an impact. All right? So this is what the basics of a story are. How do you create a story? You create a story by first analyzing your topic. The 5 topics that you have been given, you decide which one do you want your topic to be. So you've decided what your topic is. What is the message about that topic that you want to give as the maker of your film? All right. The topic is groundwater conservation, for example. Okay. What is the message about groundwater conservation that you want to tell your audience? That you have to decide, because that is what will become the narrative arc of your film. Or that message is what is going to decide what visuals you're going to put, or what text you're going to write, or what the narration is going to be, to basically bring that message out. The tone of your topic, the tone of your film is the message that you are going to relay to the audience through your film. You have to identify your character, all right? Of course, who faces some sort of a challenge related to that message. For example, I had talked about, this little boy who is not getting to school on time, all right, because of he doesn't have a bathroom, he doesn't have a water supply to take a bath in the morning, all right. So the challenge over there is that there is no availability of water in his house, right? And there is a character, that little boy, okay? So you'll find a character like that. And it could be anything, like we said, a person or an animal or a thing, a tap, a garden, a car, a people tree. Who is it and what is that challenge? That's the next stage. What is your character's immediate goal in the face of that challenge? So for Raju, the challenge is, his goal is that he wants to get to school on time. He's losing out on his education every day, some crucial morning periods that happen in school. He's losing that on that. And eventually what will happen is, in the long term, if Raju doesn't get to school on time and he keeps missing certain classes, he's going to lag behind. Eventually, 1 year, 2 years, maybe 3 years, he'll struggle, which is long on the outside. Eventually, he'll stop going to school because he won't be able to keep up. He won't understand. It'll be embarrassing for him. That's the long-term problem that he faces. But so for him, the immediate goal is to be able to get to school on time. Okay? So for a short movie, you're not looking for a life goal. So Raju's goals in life, that he doesn't want to miss school eventually, he doesn't want to face embarrassment. Those are life goals that in a short film we don't cover. The immediate goal is he wants to get in school on time. So what action does your character take to achieve this goal? All right. This action will be the focus of your story. The story is on groundwater conservation, or say about Raju not being able to get to school. Raju wants to tell his parents to build a bathroom, a toilet in the house. All right. If that is the goal you're taking, okay, then the focus of your film, whether it's a fiction or a non-fiction, or you create an animation, that will become the way you're going to tell the story. It will dictate the way you're going to tell a story. And this is where this action that you will make your character take, that how does Raju tell his parents this message? What does he go through every day? How does he face it? What happens to him when he's standing in that queue for the bathroom? Or what happens to
muted? I think you're not audible now.
better?
You could all hear her.
Ma'am, it's very faint.
Can you hear me better?
No, at least I can't hear. What about others? Can you hear her? Anika?
Ma'am, I can hear, but it's very
One second.
faint.
Like one who can't hear anything. 1 second. Can you speak again, Manika?
Can you hear me? Hi.
Hello?
Can you speak to me? Is this better?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
I switched off video. So,
Maybe it is my problem at my end, maybe.
okay. So basically, your story is your topic, the message you want to say about that topic. You identify a character, you identify the immediate challenge that character is going to face, and eventually, what does this character do? What does this character want to achieve, and how does he achieve the goal that he has? And in all of this, for your film to be remembered and not probably just go viral or get lost in the crowd, is that how effectively in that 1 minute of a film that you make, all right, you touch your audience's heart and you make them think or take action. All right. That is very important in a story, whether it is for a feature film or whether it's for a public service message or whether it is a 5-minute short film. So to create your story, the summary of it is, have a character. The character faces a challenge. What is the goal that this character wants to achieve, and what does he do? What is the action he take to achieve that goal? Yeah. Before I go further, okay, I'll give you another sample over here. I had written sample. Vishnu Singh is a forest guard. So you have a character called Vishnu Singh now. He is concerned that more and more tigers are coming into the village. That's the challenge. Vishnu wants to reduce the human-tiger conflicts in these villages. That's the goal of the character. So what action does he take? So he launches a community education program to teach the residents about safety when they are near the national park boundary. That is a story. You can make this into a 1-minute film. You can make this into a 15-minute film. You can make it into a 3-hour feature film also. All right? But any film has to have these basics: the character, the challenge, the goal, and the action that the person is going to take to achieve that goal. Right? Now, before we go any further, I'll stop here to ask questions if you have. You all can turn on your cameras and we can see each other. It's just better like that. And we can just pause and talk about storytelling.
Ma'am, I would like to start because I have a question. So I was wondering, so we have been allotted a time limit of just 1 minute, and we are people, most of us, I don't think, have ever made films really. We have made compiled videos for our friends' birthdays and all, but never a 1 minute film with, like, you have to highlight an idea, a story behind it, and give a message at the end of it within 1 minute. And 1 minute seems so small for all of that. So how do we, fix that thing? It's kind of intimidating because.
Okay, I would just request everyone to switch on their videos. It'll be just nice so that I can see everyone. Yeah, it becomes. Yeah. So 1 minute or 15 minutes, trust me, no matter how much time is given to someone to make a film on a subject, always seems very little. When I used to make 1-hour films also, I used to say, oh no, I wish I could tell the story in 1.5 hours. There's so much more I can do. And that is where the true test lies. Can you tell that story in 1 minute? Now, when you pick a topic, the first thing that you're going to do is pick a topic, right? That's the first thing all are going to do. Figure out how you want to tell your film, which is going to be stage 2. I want this to be an animation film. I think I'm going to get pictures from the internet and do this. Or I'm going to shoot something. I have my phone camera, or I have my, I'm going to download clips from the internet and use it. Or I'm going to mix everything and use it. All right. I'm going to use still photographs. That's the second stage of how you're going to, once you figure out your topic, how you're going to tell the story of your topic. Then you've got to start researching. We're going to come to this after my storytelling session. We're going to come into this in more detail. All right. But you have to be very brutal when it comes to your film and your story and what you're trying to say. In a 1 minute film, honestly, don't try to put interviews. It's a lost cause. Because you will not get an expert who will say something in 4 lines. You will get an expert who will say something for 45 minutes, out of which you will have to condense that 45 minutes into 4 seconds or maybe 6 seconds. And the minute you put one expert, your film is over. Okay? What are you going to say and what are you going to do then? All right? So in a short film, ideally don't have an expert. You can have quotes from experts, from institutions, authorities, which you can use as text. You can put that in quotes and use it as text. So don't put interviews. I would advise you, play with music, play with visuals, play with narration, all right? Play with sound, play with text. Animation also, don't go there unless you get free animation, exactly what you're looking for. All right. You can create animation on text. You can fade it depending on what editing software you're going to use. Whatever text you put, you can give it a dissolve, a fade in, a bang in. You can write the text. Like remember the first video I showed you which said epic fail? It was just 2 shots and 2 words. First, they gave you 4 seconds to let the visual sink in, and then came this text. Then the visual changed, and then came another text. So the style, it's very important, the style, what we call packaging of a film, right? What font are you going to use? What is the size of the font? How does the font come? You know, your spelling errors, all of that will matter in polishing and putting together your film. All right. So even if you're using stills, you know, a lot of times, just for example, if you're going to be using just music, right? Be very careful and think about the pace of that music. If it's fast-paced music, you will need a lot of visuals because there's a beat, and at the beat, your audience is going to expect a visual change. But if you're going to hold in 5 seconds, the beat has changed twice and your visual is still the same, either you create a pattern that your visual is changing on the 3rd beat and not on your visual is changing on the say 8th beat and not on the other beats in between. You create a pattern like that, or you cut your film to the music, to the beats of the music. You remember in the end the film I showed on with stills, that was cut to music, that was cut to the beat of the music. That also has a very great impact. You slow down where you want to, you rush things where you want to, you focus on what you want the audience to focus on. Remember, film is something where you are going to be directing your audiences with information, and you're going to force them to think something. In fact, you're going to be putting some seeds of thoughts into your audience's mind. Okay, if it is just a photograph or a poster I show you, if a photograph I show you, you're left to your own devices to take a meaning out of it, right? But in a film, there is a music. Now, वो suspense भी create कर सकता है, वो drama create कर सकता है, वो एक feeling दे सकता है कि भूत खड़ा है पीछे कहीं पे, वो funny भी हो सकता है. You've set a tone. Your audience has already got influenced. Then when you have put text over there, they have read something. With the music plus that text, now they have made it, they're now being forced to think something that you want them to think. If you don't have text and there is a narration running, आप बोल रहे हो, आप narrate कर रहे हो कुछ, there again you're putting information, you're putting stuff into your audience's mind. And you're making them think or do something, right? So basically, that's how a film is very different. And that's how a film becomes a very powerful tool which can be used effectively if done right. It's not a photograph there of a waterfall, right? Ab soch lo aapko jo sochna hai. But the minute I say 2050, experts from NASA say that this beautiful waterfall, the Niagara Falls, is going to cease to exist because there's going to be no fresh water on Earth. आपने डाल दिया कीड़ा अपने ऑडियंस के दिमाग में? It's as simple as that. If it's just a poster, I will say, oh, I want to go to Niagara Falls next year for a holiday. So pretty, Is this a phone capture or a DSLR capture? All these thoughts will come, but it doesn't happen with film. All right. So when you're thinking of when you've selected your topic and you're thinking of your story, be brutal. It's a 1-minute film. Everything that you should say there, put there, or show over there, your visuals should be very powerful. That's the first point in a short film. The text that you put should be short, all right, to the point, what you want to say. Don't put 30-line sentences over there on that visual. No one's going to read. All right? No one's going to read that. One sentence, 4, 5 words, 6 words, or one long sentence in a slightly smaller font if you want. All right? If it's 2 sentences you want to say, break that, change the visual if you have to change the visual. The ideal time to hold a visual is the ideal reading time, your reading time plus 2 seconds. Because you have written the line, you have read it 50,000 times, you have seen it 50,000 times as you're editing your film, you know this line by heart. Anybody else will take time. So if you have read Save Water in 1 second, please keep that Save Water on the visual for at least 2.5 seconds for others to, everybody is not as fast. Try to think like a child. Any film made, if a 10-year-old can understand, anybody in this world will understand. All right? But a film which only one artistic person will understand, or only a journalist will understand, or only an expert will understand, is a film that is being made only for them. It's not a film for the general audience. All right? So when you're making films for a general audience, you're talking to a wide age group. You're talking to men and women and the others. You're talking to people from different socioeconomic strata. You're talking to the literate and the illiterate. All right? So you need to understand what tone. You need to be very, very careful of what tone you're going to take. How are you going to show it? Okay? What are you going to say? What visuals are you going to say? Don't ideally in a film, like a 1-minute film on a topic that you have been given, it should not point fingers at anybody. It's okay to point fingers at the government if the government is not funding this program. But if it is, don't go there. All right. But don't try to show one community in a negative light. Don't try to take a stand that you believe in. Okay? You can keep it open-ended, or if you want to take a stand which is the morally correct stand or environmentally correct stand. For example, get your dripping tap fixed. It's a call to action. It's a stand that you're taking. It's going to dictate the tone of your film, right? And that's important because people don't realize कि बूंद बूंद से ही tank खाली हो जाता है. And the other thing is, what language are you going to make this film in? That's also very important. Remember, English, as much as it's a universal language, if in India, majority of people watch their films on mute or in regional languages. If it's in English, they'll just mute it. They don't even care about the music. Why do you think a lot of films that you see even on Facebook or Instagram or YouTube, either there is subtitles to it or it's the auto-generated subtitles that are coming because people are watching content on their mobile phones. They're watching it at night. They're watching it in the bathroom. They're hiding and watching. They don't want others to listen to what they're listening to. They're watching videos on mute. If you dig deeper into what the trends of video are on the internet, you will realize largely people are watching video on mute. Even Reels, that is the new hot favorite on Facebook and LinkedIn. LinkedIn is going off Reels. Facebook and Instagram, people watch on mute. Okay? That is why subtitling is becoming very important in whatever video you're making, whether it's a 1-hour film or whether it's a 1-minute film, if there is talking that involved. All right. So creativity is eventually what is going to make a large groundwater conservation, a subject as large as like that. Your creativity is what is going to get you to make a 1-minute film on that. Your creativity is what you're going to be able to decide how you're going to tell that story, whether through a tap or the tree or a boy or a car or a garden, or a dripping tap or a leaking tank. That's your creativity. All right. But remember, if you're putting information into your film, please be factually correct. If it's a fiction you're going to create, the dialogues that people say should be factually correct. All right. If quotes you're putting, they should be of authorities, of reputed institutions, known experts. My mother told me, no. My mother told me, works in the house, does not work for the large audience unless your mother is obviously echoing something that the whole world says. All right. My mother told me it's okay to brush my teeth with the water dripping, with the tap running. It is fine in your house. But don't use that as an expert comment in your film. All right. It has to come from an authority. It has to come from a reputed authority. That's why research, especially for non-fiction and for films like this, is very important. Till you don't know the backstory, okay, till you don't know the research document that you create, you don't know that backstory, you will not know what to say and what to do. All right. So coming back, so what we do is when we're doing stories, all right, we create something called the success test. SUCCESS. These are the parameters that I will share this presentation with Alka to share it with all of you if you read it, or at least the success test thing if you want that. All right. The first thing is that there is a story. It's not facts put together. It's just not like, topics put together, or it's just not like messages coming one after another. There is a nice story. There's something unexpected happening in the film. Okay. Now, a subject like what you've been given, the subject that you guys are covering, is something that everybody's talking about. Right? How can you tell your story with a lot of twists and turns? How can you create drama in it? That first film I showed you, epic fail. It was unexpected. If I hadn't told you if it was a Save Water campaign by WWF and it's just that one visual was playing, you wouldn't have known what it is, right? Something unexpected happened and a visual change happened, a text change happened to show you the contrast. There is a story there. Even those two visuals and those two texts that you saw, there was a story. Curiosity, that the people who are watching want to know more. They want to get involved in some way. They're curious about this. They look up what is groundwater. Trust me, people won't even know what is groundwater. So maybe one of you can think of a film on just what is groundwater. How does it get charged and how does it get discharged? And the rate at which groundwater fills, there is a story to tell over there. It's not something that happens in one season. Given the population that we have, all right? Credibility, all right? How credible is the information, whether you're hiding and putting it in dialogues or whether you're making it a funny film and you're putting in some, facts inside that thing, or your characters are saying something. How credible is that information? How emotionally engaging is your film? That does it tug a chord in the person's heart? Does it make them do something? Does it make them think something? Does it make them want to know more about the topic or do something or take some kind of action or actually go and call the plumber and get that, dripping tap replaced? That emotional connect should be there ideally. Sources, where are you picking up your, information from? So credibility and sources in a way kind of go together. And is it stimulating? Is it stimulating? What effect is it having on your audience? Repair the dripping tap, report the animal abuse that they're seeing, or kind of regulate or help in this whole build a toilet in your backyard kind of a campaign for hygiene, You know, so these are small things. How stimulating and engaging can you make your film? So what we basically do is, this is a chart that I will share with Alka. If you wanted, once you kind of come up with your story, you can rate yourself, or you can have others rate you. All right. If you want to get a feedback on your story, if you're talking to friends or family, how good is my story? Ask them to rate you on these parameters and see what they come up with. The story. Do you have a strong character, a clear goal, and a good action? Like what we discussed, there's a character who has a problem, and because of the problem, he wants to achieve a goal, and the action or the things that he does to achieve that goal. Unexpected. Is there something about a story or your approach that will surprise your viewers? Curiosity. Will your story entice your viewers to know more? Credible. Do you have trustworthy characters? Emotional. Have you chosen a story that your viewers will connect with? Sources. Do you have what you need to tell this story? Locations, animals, behavior, archive material, experts, special equipment, graphics, all of that. And stimulating. Are you excited and passionate about the story? You're the people who you're going to tell the story to, just as a mock drill. All right. Are they excited to hear it? All right. And then the rating, and if you know that's your score, if you get anything in that, you'll know that you got to do better, or you've really hit upon a great idea. So we'll talk about each of these. All right. But just to sum it up, the steps that you need to take is research, script. Pre-production is when you prepare for your shoot, where you put together the entire plan on what day are you going to film what, who are the experts, call them up, ask them what camera you're going to use, if you need permissions from anywhere to film in any place. All right, lining up your daily schedule. If it's a 2-day shoot, what is going to happen on day 1 from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. if you're shooting? A call sheet is made. It's called a chart, or your schedule is made as to what you're going to do. Everybody contacted, food has been taken care of, your car taxi is being taken care of, or if you're driving on your own, your car has a full tank and all the air pressure is checked. All of that is a part of pre-production. The entire planning, even taking permissions, like I had mentioned, is very important. It happens all in the pre-production stage. Production is when you actually go set out to film. Okay, the script that you make, all right, for your film is what will help you and make your filming and production very efficient. Script is very important. We'll come to that. Post-production is the editing of the film, where whatever you have shot, you put it together, you add the text or the narration or the effect or the animation or whatever you want, you put it together and you deliver the final film to Alka. All right, I'm going to stop and we will discuss each of these points. Yeah. Okay, so first and foremost is research. Can anyone tell me how they research? How do you research?
Ma'am, we read what others have written on that particular topic. We talk to the experts who are working on that topic. And I have Badal here. He would like to add something to that.
Thank you. I think like for the research thing, we have to look for the thing. Like suppose we have to make a film on the groundwater, then we have to research what is groundwater, how it is being affected by the human activities, what are the activities that are affecting the groundwater in the positive and the negative way. So we can reveal the both in our short film. So like that.
Everyone, you can switch on your cameras. So I know everyone is there and no one is sleeping. All right. Okay. So yes, research is making phone calls to people, talking to experts, reading up newspaper articles, popular science. A lot of research exists in the form of research papers, which is very difficult to understand as a layman. I find it very difficult to understand. 20 years I've been reading research articles on animals, and trust me, I don't understand. I have to have a dictionary open on the side to understand what they're trying to say. That's why popular articles written on your subject are also very helpful. Sometimes they give you lines that will help you in your script, stuff that you can pick up. So popular science is basic articles basically that will decode the science. The jargons are not going to be there. They'll decode everything and talk to you, to the reader in a very layman language. All right, so that's why it's called popular science. So anybody and everybody can read it. All right. So read those kind of things. Look up international sites, international sources also for information. Depending on what you're trying to do, again, whether you're trying to tell a story, which is a micro habitat story, like something that happens in your neighborhood, or are you trying to tell your the topic that you pick up? Is it a pan India kind of theme that you are going to take, or are you going to try to cover the entire globe with the problem of groundwater conservation? Right? So it depends then from where you'll find these sources. If you're trying to talk about groundwater in Delhi, your source is going to be very different versus talking about groundwater available in the or on this planet. Your sources might be very different. All right. So research, talk to people, and remember one thing in research: Google is not the answer for everything. Okay. Google is not the answer for everything. It holds true for maybe water conservation, but when it comes to wildlife, Google is definitely not the answer for anything. All right? Because Google doesn't tell us, it tells us who's working on what and what research they have done. It doesn't tell us the stories that are happening, playing out in the wild. All right? So as much as possible, talk to people. Sometimes you have a topic, whatever your topic is, all right? You can't figure out how to tell the story. So, for example, your topic is access to safe drinking water, all right? And you know that itni sari films hai, everybody takes that whole standard procedure of access to safe drinking water. Koi hospital mein pada hai, koi bacha bimar ho gaya, those kind of things. But the minute you pick up the phone and talk to an expert, all right, he might tell you of an episode that happened with him or her when they were in the field working on this. That might give you an idea. The expert might tell you something which is not published right now, right? Of some kind of science or some kind of research happening somewhere, which might give you an idea to make a film, right? That's why conversations and engaging with people is very important. Your research is going to give you all the data that you need, all right? Your script is going to tell you from that data what is it that you're going to use in your film and how you're going to use it. So don't skip research, please. All right? This is non-fiction. This is not fiction, unless, of course, you're making a fiction film. Then it's a different matter altogether. Then you're just left to your own devices and your own creativity. Still, you will need some kind of research to feed dialogues to your characters. All right? But it's very, very important, even when you're writing an article, whether you're writing your blog post or you're going to do anything else as a deliverable, if you opt out from filmmaking, if I discourage you enough and you opt out from this, all right? Whatever you do, research is very important, all right? Next is scripting. Now you have all your research documents, you have spoken to everybody, you got everything. Now you have to write a script. What is a script? A script is basically a Word document. You can do it on or with paper and pencil. You can do it on Microsoft Word. You can do it in Excel also. There are 2 or 3 columns. First is visual. Second is narration or text. Third is remarks. You will, if you don't want to do a script, another thing you can do is what we call a storyboard, where you basically draw each frame of each sequence or each shot of your film. So you do a script or a storyboard where you decide how you're going, what is going to be your first shot, second shot, third shot, fourth shot, fifth shot, what is going to be the narration over each shot or the text, or your remarks can also have audio comments in it, that, oh, this shot, now I'll give a breather, I won't put any music in it, so you're starting. So basically your script is the flow of your film. There will be a draft 1, draft 2, draft 3. Sometimes there is a draft 1000 also. It's all right. Sometimes there's just one draft because you've come up with such a brilliant story idea and a brilliant script. Scripting is very important because once you know what you're going to show, you will know what you're going to shoot. When you actually go out to shoot, you're not going to be running helter-skelter. अरे ये लूं कि ना लूं, ये करना चाहिए कि नहीं करना चाहिए, no. एक फाइनल स्क्रिप्ट जब हाथ में आ जाती है, stick to that, shoot to that, you will save time. 1 minute film, you cannot spend 1 month filming. A 1 minute film, ideally you should film only in 1 day. 2 days max if there is change of location and you're going in a lot of places. 3 or 4 days if you're covering like 7-8 locations. All right, but not more than that. It's 60 seconds and it passes like that, you won't even come to know. So be very selective. That's why research is important. And then from that research, what are the stuff that you want to say in your film? What is the visual support for that? Whether you're going to have someone say it, you are going to do the voiceover, or you're going to have text coming over there with music, that you will decide. And so when you have a script, you know exactly what you're going to do. Trust me, it's very efficient. It's very, very handy. It saves you a lot of time. It gives you a lot of clarity, and you will understand the flow of your film. Right now, आप अपनी फिल्म देख सकते हो, आपको पता है scene 1, scene 2, scene 3 क्या है. जब आप लिखोगे ना, when you make a script, suddenly you will get an idea. Oh, how about ये जो scene 3 है, जिसपे मैं अपनी फिल्म end कर रही हूँ, उसको मैं scene 1 बना दूँ. It flows better. It's more creative. कुछ different है ये तो, That will also happen, but only once you've written down everything, then you can play around with the structure. You can take out something, add something, delete something, shorten the sequence. Once you write it down, you will realize, अरे यार ये तो 6 seconds हो रहा है. I don't want this to be 6 seconds. I want this to be 3 seconds. So shorten it. But now there's a 3-second gap. Maybe you have to think of another visual that will go there. It's better to do all this in the script stage so that you have that, because you will do another round of scripting when you're in post-production. जब आप में सब शूट करके आप ले आओगे ना, आप हमेशा थोड़ा एक्स्ट्रा भी लाओगे और आप हमेशा बहुत एक्स्ट्रा भी लाओगे. ये होता है, आप शूट कर रहे हो वाटर कंजर्वेशन, हो भी सकेगा आप सनराइज और सनसेट भी शूट करोगे. आप वो यूज करोगे या नहीं करोगे वो नहीं पता, बट शायद आप सनराइज और सनसेट भी शूट करके आओगे. वो लिटिल एक्स्ट्रास फाइन है, एंड इट्स ऑलवेज गुड टू हैव दोस फ्यू एक्स्ट्रास, because you never know जब आप edit करने लगोगे. And there are times, and it happens to people like me also, I have edited a whole 1-hour film, 10 days left for delivery, and I have changed the entire structure because I have not liked it. That also happens. But I know what are the visuals I can play with. आपने script में ये नहीं add किया, या आपने script ढंग से नहीं लिखी, and when you go into the field, you didn't bother taking that shot, right? And then when you came into your edit and you realized, I had that feeling, I should have done that shot or taken that shot. It's a very tricky situation. You'll spend another half day going and getting that visual again. Or you'll be spending maybe 1 whole day searching the internet for free footage. And searching the internet for free footage is not something that happens very easily. Huh? There are not all the kind. It also depends on where you're screening your film. Whether you're going to सोशल मीडिया रिलीज है या किसी की वेबसाइट पे जा रहा है, तो फॉर्मेट भी आपको, अगर आपका डिलीवरेबल आप जिस ऑर्गेनाइजेशन के साथ काम कर रहे हो, दे टेल यू वी वांट HD, वी वांट 4K क्वालिटी. ओके, इट्स अ फॉर्मेट. You don't get 4K footage free of cost on the internet. Huh? You will get HD. You will not get 4K very easily. 4K is very expensive. So it takes time to find the shots. You want a sunrise with a dragonfly, a silhouette of a dragonfly in front of the sun. You will spend 1 month looking for that shot. फिर भी नहीं मिलेगा. So it's quite a nightmare, but be realistic. As fancy as you want your film to be, remember, you don't have that kind of time. You don't have that kind of, sorry. Just a minute, please. So, so just be realistic about, if you're downloading footage from the internet, we all think that the internet is a great resource, सब कुछ मिल जाएगा, नहीं. जो मिलेगा वो paid for होगा, जो बहुत अच्छा लगेगा और जो बहुत apt होगा. और जो चाहिए और जो free होगा वो आपको नहीं चाहिए होगा. या उसमें कोई problem होगी, वो ऐसा होना चाहिए था, अगर वो नहीं होता, so there are problems. All right? But remember, you're children of the 21st century. You have something called a mobile phone. And anyone can be a filmmaker today. You can also make a film on water conservation. I can also make a film on water conservation. Both of us using our mobile phone. Okay, whether we know how to use the mobile phone in video format or not, it doesn't matter. We both can make films. It's how you make your film and how I make my film. If I give you a candle and say, this is the only thing you're going to film. All right, I give you this cup and say, this is the only thing with your mobile phone you're going to film. And tell me a story. Trust me, you all will be able to do it. But how you create story with your visuals, how do you take your shots, is where the difference lies. All right? Someone will take a close-up. Someone will try to put a camera inside and have water falling into the cup. That's creativity. It's okay अगर phone खराब हो जाए, but मुझे वो shot चाहिए. You know? So it all depends on your on how much you can push yourself creatively. All right? Film 2 रुपए में भी बनती है और 2000 करोड़ में भी बनती है. Eventually, it's the scale that you will take which will decide. And it's a short film, so don't spend too much of money. Don't take loan from anybody. All right? Try to use your mobile phone. It's a good enough format. I will tell you how to use your mobile phone very effectively to do something like this. If you want to make a film on your using a mobile phone and shoot your own footage. All right. So scripting is thus very, very important. It also happens that you have a script, you've planned everything, you've written on your shots, you don't get what you want. This happens mostly in the kind of films I work with, which is wildlife. I want a tiger eating a deer. I want to film the actual hunt. I spent 3 years in a forest and not seen an actual hunt. And I don't have that shot. All right. This also happens. You're working with a subject where a lot is in your control or you can control it. All right. But there could be a possibility that the third wave comes and you cannot step out of your house and film. Have a backup plan. That means all of you might be just either filming in your house with stuff that you have or downloading videos. All right. So scripting is thus very, 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 very important. All right. Once you have your script ready, you know what visuals you want. You know who are the experts, if at all there are experts you want to interview. All right. You know what you're going to say. You know everything now. You get into pre-production. Pre-production is now when you start planning. I want the sunrise from Sanjay 1 with the Qutub Minar in the foreground. So you know you have to go to Sanjay 1. Whether you go in your car or you're taking a taxi and going, you have to call up the taxi guy. I'm going to spend, now that I'm going to Sanjay 1, I might do 5 other shots over there. So I might get hungry, it might get lunchtime, food organized, all of that organized. All right. I want to interview my expert in the backdrop of India Gate at 6 o'clock in the evening. Expert has to be called, right? Expert has to be given a time. You decided you want to do it on a Tuesday. Expert is not free. Wednesday ho gaya. All of that, all the planning, what shots you want, where are you going to get them, who are the people you want to interview, if there is any permission required, all right, to go for that place to be, if you have to go and film in a particular place, do you have to take any permission from MCB or, from the nursery owners or from, the house owners or from wherever, it's a public place, you might have to take permission. All of that needs to be done in pre-production stage. All right. Pre-production is also the time when you figure your gear out. All right. Gear is whether you're using a mobile phone, you're using a DSLR, you're using a big format camera. All of that is not applicable to you, big format, but I know either you'll be using a mobile phone or your DSLRs to go and film. Definitely have a tripod if you're using a DSLR. Try to have a tripod for your phone or a selfie stick for stability of the camera, of your phone camera. It's very important. Nobody likes to see jerky shots. You breathe, and when you breathe, whatever's there in your hand is also going to have some kind of movement. If you're going to take a sunrise from your mobile phone, I don't want to see the sun going down like this or sun coming up like that. No. Place it somewhere. If you have a stand or you can, wherever you're filming, create a platform. Don't touch the phone. Don't breathe around it. Because if you're doing a 20-minute roll of the sunrise, you can't hold your breath for 20 minutes. All right. So think of a platform, or take a selfie stick and keep the stick somewhere with the phone. Or again, holding a selfie stick is not a great idea, but a tripod if you can, have something. So these are small little things you should be prepared for in the pre-production stage. Pre-production is also when we have a backup plan. We make a backup plan. All right. And we make a backup of a backup plan and a backup of the backup of the backup. And that's how we continue till we don't have like some 40,000 backups, because we don't, at least in wildlife, we don't know when we're going to get the kind of shot that we're ideally looking for. All right, barish ho gayi, ye ho gaya, wo ho gaya, the person didn't come on time. 5 o'clock you had called him, 5:30 you had to leave, and 6 o'clock you had something else. Everything will go for a haywire. Something happens, the person is not well, cannot make it, subah kuch ho gaya, bukhar ho gaya, you get to know, he calls you up at 4 o'clock and tells you, I'm not coming. Do you have another expert? Don't put all your eggs in one basket. That this is the final expert, this is the only expert I'm going to interview. Have a backup, just in case. All right? What if the person ends up saying something which you feel is not good enough? It's not usable. Do you have a backup? Everyone's videos have gone off. All right. Okay. So this is what is the advantage of planning and doing pre-production. And once you have everything ready, all of it sorted, is when you go and start filming. Filming is very simple. You've done enough homework. We'll come to the gear after this, but it's fairly simple of what you can do and not do, what you want to do, not want to do, what you can take, not take. You've got your story, you know what visuals you want, stick to that. Sometimes it happens that you're on location and something very interesting is happening, right? And you feel that maybe there is something you can do with that. Film it. Just because you haven't written about it doesn't mean you don't film it. Something very interesting is happening, right? Film it. You never know. It might be useful. It might not be useful. You never know. But something you feel that is related to. You have to believe in your gut instinct a lot when you're out in the field. You have to be very street smart. You have to be very clever. A lot of times, the stories change when you are filming, despite having a script in your hand. For example, something absolutely unique happens when you're filming, right? And you suddenly say that, oh my God, forget what I've written. This is the story. This is what I'll make my film about. Go for it. Do it. There's no stopping. There is no stopping you. All right? And then as a backup, you can film the actual scripted story also that you have. All right, just in case something happens to the event that you thought you can do something with. All right, so you have to be very quick in thinking. You have to think on your feet. You've got to be, and all of this actually comes from a lot of experience in working in the film industry, so to say. But this is the kind of experience you can also gain by watching a lot of films. Watch films for inspiration. Don't copy them. Pick up font style. Pick up camera styles, pick up editing styles, all right? But don't copy it like blatantly. Get inspired, okay? Get inspired. And watching films also gives you experience. You start understanding what storytelling is. You start understanding, you start seeing that beginning, middle, and end. When you watch a film, after whatever I've told you, you start identifying characters. You'll start saying, "Ha, ye problem hai. Ha, this is what he's trying to do." You know, it'll start coming to you. If you keep the basics in mind, then I'm sorry if I would have ruined the watching experience of Netflix dramas also now, but it happens. All right, it happens. So be open to whatever you're filming, extra shots, take them, small little interesting things that happen, take them. Like I said, in a 1 minute film on subjects like these, avoid expert interviews. But what you can do is you can do what we call vox pop. Vox pop are short little interviews you take of people on the road. Do you know why do you blink? Yes or no? The answer is yes. Someone says no. Someone says yes. Someone says I don't know. And you put all of that together. All right? Public reactions, they're called vox pops. All right? So maybe you can have that. Maybe there's a story to talk about water conservation through the eyes or the voices of the people who live in slums. All right? It's a visual of one shot. It's just I'm making up a story. I'm making up a film in my head. Don't copy it. It's copyrighted. No, you can. All right. But it is a slum area. All right. You see a line of people standing. Okay. And everyone's standing with matkas and someone's filling water and taking it. And, and it's just one shot. And over that, the audio is I have interviewed different people. बच्चों को interview किया है सबने, बूढ़ों को किया है, औरतों को किया है. I've interviewed the men who sit at home, the men who have to go to work, the children who don't get educated, the children who go to school, the women who cook food, the women who have to go out and work. And in that one visual that is playing for 45 seconds, I put these different voices and tell the story. The visual has not changed. The voice has changed. And you can make out बच्चा कब बोल रहा है, बूढ़ा कब बोल रहा है, आदमी कब बोल रहा है, औरत कब बोल रही है. The diversity has come, the different opinions have come. I've told you a story on water conservation or whatever the topic is. All right, save water. All right. So there's a lot that you can do. There's a lot you can play with. All right. All of this is in your control. This topic, completely remember, is in your control. You can decide what you want to say in the most hard-hitting, effective, efficient way is in your hands, is your creativity and how well you plan. Okay? So once you have filmed and you've got everything that you want is when you will move into post-production, which is when you edit the film. Now, for editing, what are you going to do? Have you children edited films before? Do you already use softwares? Are you aware or you just don't know? Can you all tell me?
So ma'am, I have used some apps to combine videos, put music in them in the background, use some effects like sparkles and stars and all showing up, something like that.
Don't use comic font in a film like this.
I've used Adobe Premiere Pro to make like some theater films, some short films.
Bhavna, I can't see anybody else. You're the only one left.
I've done that on a personal level, like normal editor, video editor.
Right? Bhavna,
I have not.
Bhavna, you've used an editing software? Anything?
It's inbuilt in what we get in PC, not a professional one.
Something is there. Fine. Yes.
Ma'am, I've used something called a video, something called InShot. But that was just once or twice.
Stop.
It's me, Nivya. Sorry, I can't put my camera on because my internet is lagging.
Oh, sorry. Okay. Also have. Okay, Badal, are you using something?
No, ma'am. Actually, even I don't edit photo. I just pull up the lower option and just choose the filter. Nothing else. I have not even edited a video yet.
Okay. Anyone
Yes,
else? Everyone has answered? Okay, fine. Okay. So, whatever editing software you are familiar with, stick to that. Whatever you have edited, just remember, don't add glitter, stars, unicorns, rainbows. It's not going to go with the theme of your film. All right. I think it's a little serious, so we should be a little serious. All right. Don't use comic font. It's not a very good font for film. All right. For Badal, what do we do now? Badal,
Yes, ma'am. You can suggest me a software that is easy to handle. I'm open to learning.
yeah, there are lots of softwares which are very easy to handle and they are very they're available. I'm just trying to figure out what we can tell you. You don't have anything in your phone or your laptop, iMovies or Windows.
I have Windows, like Windows Editor, obviously. I think I have PixArt in my mobile phone.
I don't know PixArt.
Okay.
Is that a video editing software?
What, ma'am?
Is that a video editing software?
I have not even used that.
No problem. No problem. There is, I've just seen up something. There's Canva.
Ma'am, please repeat.
Canva. Canva, I think problem is audio editing. I'm not sure. I think you can audio. If you're using narration, Canva, you have to bring in the final narration, absolute final narration. If you're using narration, and then it doesn't allow you to break your audio. So अगर आप voice over करोगे, you do it in sentences so that you know exactly on what clip to place. But there's one more. Someone sent me something. I'm just trying to look that up. Just give me a minute. For animations or films that you want to make animatedly, you can use something called Animoto. Animoto. Look it up. Okay, you can feed in the visuals and you can select the template and you can put things together for you. You can change the font and you can put in the text and all of that. Animoto is also something free hai. Don't buy anything, it's not worth it. Free software use karo. It's good enough, the more you start buying, the more complicated it gets, and then you need an additional crash course in just learning that software only. All right. So you can use all of this. Firstly, there are lots of ways of editing. Okay. But one of the ideal ways is if you have narration. All right. अगर आपने narration है, आपने लिखी है narration, record that first. Okay. Decide on the music later, but record your narration first. If your film has only narration or even if it has narration in certain parts. All right. That's the first thing you do. Second, or parallelly, you put your visuals together as per your script. If you don't have a script or if you're going with that event that happened impromptu in the field kind of a situation, after you come back and before you edit, look at the footage. Watch all your footage before you start editing. Look at it nicely. All right. All your footage, look at it, all the shots, whether you've downloaded them, the still pictures you're working with, whatever you're working with, look at all of them nicely and open your editing software and bring in the visuals in the order you want them to be. What is going to be the first visual? What's going to be the second visual? What's going to be the third visual, fourth visual, fifth visual, sixth visual? All right. Then you put the narration that you have recorded, put it where you want to put it, match it with the visuals. Third visual has the voiceover. This particular sentence, put it over there. First visual has text. Write your text and put it over there. Don't get into finalizing everything from the word go. No, you're going to make a first cut first, where you're going to basically what we call is assemble everything together. All right. You don't have to have the final font and final font size and final colors and final effects, nothing in stage one. You should have your visuals in the order you want them. You should have the sample text wherever you want the text to come. You should have the narration wherever you want the narration to come. These are the three things you should have in stage one. Once you put it together in your 1 minute film, your first version can even be a 5-minute film. It doesn't matter. It can be 1.5 minutes. It can be, don't make it 10 minutes. It'll be too much of work. You'll go mad. Kya nikalu, kya rakhu. All right. So try to keep it like a 2-3 minute version. No problem. A long version, 2-3 minute version. And once you have the order in which you want your visuals, you have your text coming wherever it is coming, and the narration coming wherever it is coming. All right. Look at it. Are you happy with that order? You want to interchange something. You want to interchange any visuals. The minute you interchange visuals, maybe the text might have to interchange, or some sentences may have to be dropped, or something new must have been written. Make those changes. If it's a 2-minute film right now, look at it and very, very brutally look at it and say, ye chahiye, ye nahi chahiye, nigal do. Because your second stage is shortening the film. It is not fine-tuning right now with text and all of that or final narration. It is now shortening the film to bringing it closer to 1 minute. Okay? So if it's a 2-minute film right now, you put the order, you put the visual, you put the narration, the text. Now look at it and say, take out these 2 visuals. No, this visual should definitely be there. Maybe I should start the film with this visual. No, take out this entire 30-second chunk. I don't want it. Take out this. Sorry, someone's alarm is gone down below. Okay, so, take out the 30-second chunk. Take out things which are unnecessary, which are unnecessary there, which you think may be forced, which you think may be too much, which are not any value addition to the story, which are not making the story move forward. Remember, whether it's a 1-minute film or a 2-minute film, the story should move. That's why the beginning, the middle, and end, you decide. You can start your film with a climax and end on the beginning, or you can, start with something, whatever. But there has to be that arc. एक अगर कहानी पढ़ते हैं हम एक दूसरे को, बच्चों को कहानी पढ़ते हैं. If you're reading a novel, you're reading a story, you're reading anything, especially with books and films are visuals of a book in a lot of ways, right? There's a story arc, right? There's a story arc, right? You start with something, you gain interest, you get involved, you feel for that character, whether he's fighting for good or bad, and then there is an end, the winner comes, right? There's a story arc. Create that story arc even if you're reshuffling. Be brutal and take out things if you feel the story is not moving. If you're doing a film with vox pops or expert interviews and 4 people are saying the same thing, please don't have 4 people say the same thing. एक बच्चा भी वही बोल रहा है, बुढ़ा भी वही बोल रहा है दूसरे तरीके से, और एक औरत भी वही बोल रही है तीसरे तरीके से. फायदा नहीं है ना, बोल तो सब वही चीज रहे हैं. Bring in another point of view. मैं स्कूल नहीं जा सकता सुबह क्योंकि मेरे को भी ये लाइन में लगना पड़ता है. An old man says, हम 12 बजे तक, हमें 3 बजे तक खाना नहीं मिलता क्योंकि wife goes to work in someone's house and then comes back, to at home, and then she has to go and stand in the line. जब तक पानी हमारे घर में आता है 2 बजते हैं, फिर खाना बनता है, फिर 3 बज जाते हैं. You know, bring in different perspectives, bring in different voices, all focused in the tone, in the story arc, make the story move forward. The expert A has also said groundwater is very important to conserve. Expert B has also said what is very important to conserve is groundwater. They both have said the same thing in different ways. Groundwater is very important to conserve. It's very groundwater. One of the biggest things we have to do is conserve groundwater. They said the same thing. Take out one expert. Nahi chahiye. Who has more weight? Who has more value? Who is publicly known more? Who is more followed? Is the person you probably should keep. Who's more authentic, who's more genuine, who's more internationally recognized or nationally recognized is the voice you should keep. All right? Each stage, see if your story is moving. And take out things which are not making the story move, which are not adding value, which are slowing things down. And now from 2 minutes, you probably will arrive at either 1.5 minutes or 1 minute, or 1 minute 15 seconds, or maybe 1 minute. But don't still arrive at 1 minute. Hold on. You shouldn't arrive at 1 minute yet because you still have not put in your music. All right? So it should still be slightly longer than 1 minute. And your second cut now is more refined. You've taken out unnecessary things. You've changed the script wherever you wanted. You've changed the narration. You've changed the text. You've reshuffled things around. It's flowing better, it's looking better, it's feeling better. You can add little markers there at this stage. Over here, I want this effect. Over here, I want this effect. You know, you can add those little markers right now. And maybe at stage 2, once you've redone now you can redo your voice and put it there. All right? Redo the shorter narration and put it there. More refined narration and put it there. Refine your text, put it there. Okay? And before you add music, maybe at this stage you may want to show your film to someone for feedback. It's a stage 2, it is closer to the duration that you want. Maybe you want to show it to your mother, your father, your friend, 3 people. This is the film. Can you understand it? Okay? They might give you feedback which might help you. It's purely up to you. You don't even have to do this. You don't have to. If you're confident and you think that what you have is what you have and it's great, go for it. It's not a must do. It's just optional because you all are making films for the first time. Okay, and everybody's camera has got switched off. I like to talk to a lot of people. If I'm talking to a lot of people, I like to see faces. Okay, so if you don't want to get feedback, it's perfectly fine. Please don't get feedback. All right, but now look at your film. It's 1 minute 10 seconds. You now redo your voiceover, change your text to whatever you want it. If you're not playing with text or voiceover, if it's music oriented, see the visuals that you want to take out. Music oriented, the edit is only different. You have to bring in music also and visuals also and cut to music. All right, that story is very different. But it's a story we can cover if you want to, if you're interested in it. So now you lay in your music. Also remember, when you're playing with narration, you should know, ideally ना, एक जब sentence खत्म होता है narration में, एक जब full stop आता है, give it a breather. Back to back audio मत रखना. Even if it is nice narration, don't have too much of narration. From the time the film starts till the time the film ends, someone should not be talking. It becomes too much for anyone to take in. Give breathers. That's why keep your sentences shorter. Whether it's text or whether it's narration, keep your sentences short. Okay? Don't have end-to-end breathing. Give a music pause. Even if it's a 2-second, 3-second music pause, give a music pause. All right? Try to break it down. Give breathing room. Otherwise, it will become too much. People will switch off. No one will watch it. And if I was watching it, I will give you 0 marks. All right? So don't make that mistake. And once you bring your music in, before you bring your music in, edit your visuals now to adjust for the narration. Sometimes आपका जो visual जहाँ पे वो full stop आ रहा था वो 1 second छोटा हो गया, वो पहले कट रहा है, the last word is going on to the next visual. Maybe you want to adjust that, you know, उस visual का time थोड़ा बढ़ा दो, उस वाले को छोटा कर दो ताकि एक वो थोड़ा matching हो जाए. Okay, then you bring in music, and music के साथ once you kind of decide the final tone of your film, because even if you have narration and text, there is a music that you should be cutting it to. So the choice of music, there again, please don't go copyright music. YouTube, if you have a YouTube, everyone I think by default has a YouTube channel, whether you use it or not. But just open YouTube, log through your Gmail if you have Gmail, and you go into this audio library. There's a list of music, free music to use, arranged as per genre, instrument, style, a whole lot of things you can search. Don't create a mismatch between the tone of the film you're taking, and don't kill it with the music. If it's a slow-paced film, the cuts are not coming back, cut, visual change nahi ho raha. If it's cut, visual change, that means your film is very fast-paced. If the visuals are not changing so fast, it's a medium-paced. If visuals are just holding on for very long, it's a slow-paced film. Decide your music accordingly. Okay? The tone of your film will also decide the music. A lot of factors go into deciding the music, because remember, music influences minds. All right, whether you accept it or don't accept it, it does. Whether you know it or not know it, it does. Okay, you're putting comic Tom and Jerry kind of music on water conservation, it ain't gonna work. All right, it's just not gonna work unless your storytelling style you have chosen is a comic thing. Then it's a different matter. All right, you can. That's called being creative. You can, if you can make this funny, you know, वो कहते हैं ना dark humor. Maybe it works for something like this. Maybe it's something that you have to explore. All right, but just remember that music plays a very important role. Don't use fast-paced music for something which is very slow. Don't use slow-paced music for something that is fast. And once you are nearing your 1 minute, tune your film, cut it to certain beats, cut the entire. That's called fine-tuning. That's called polishing. All right. Once you have done this, you should now, after the end of your first cut, sometimes it also goes on to the third cut. All right. Should be very close to the final film that you want to make. All right. Now, narration. You will decide whether you want to narrate or you want to get that friend who has that very, very nice voice to narrate. And that is called final narration. Wherever you're doing your narration, do it in a closed room with the fan off. All right. If you can't go to a studio, it's fine. If your lips make a lot of sound or you spit a lot while talking, वो चाय की छन्नी नहीं होती है, उसको फोन के पास सामने रख के उसमें बात करो. Okay, that chhanni also acts like a filter for your phat that might happen, or the sound of water, or your lips getting too dry. It kind of works, cuts out a bit of sound. If you're doing the narration, or if a friend is doing the narration, keep a glass of water to drink. Your throat should not be dry. All right, because it affects the quality of the voice. Your lips should not be dry. Always have lip balm. Okay, one chhanni, chai ki chhanni, lip balm, and a glass of water. These are 3 very important things to have, whether you're doing professional voice recording or amateur voice recording, or you're recording voice at home, whatever you're doing. All right. Some of you might want to feature yourself in the story, which is fine. You are the character. It's your story. You're the character. You want to say something. You're talking to the camera, right? You can also do that. So this is thought that came into my head, so I suddenly put it over there. But it's a thought, just parking it with you, all of you, that in the end, you might want to say a message to your audience. You might want to put yourself in the film. Go ahead and do it if you want to. Okay, coming back to narration. So if it's someone else is recording the narration, right now you worked with scratch narration, right? It's your voice you've recorded, and when you're doing editing to scratch narration also, try to keep it as close to the final narration as possible in terms of the style, the pace. Don't read like, once upon a time there was a king. If your pace is once upon a time there was a king, try to read your scratch narration also like that, because that will affect your edit, even your scratch, first edit, second edit, third edit. And remember, if you're getting someone else to do the narration, there will be a third or fourth round of editing, because everybody is not at the same speed or same style of talking. People talk differently, so you might have to again fine tune your visuals a little according to the final narration that comes in. All right, just how you're going to finally fine tune your film to the music, you also fine tune the film to the final narration. Once you've done all of that, you can add in your graphics wherever you want them, whatever effects you want, okay, whatever packaging you want to do, end plate, opening plate, end credits. Credits are very important. Credits can come over visuals. In a 1-minute film, credits should not be more than 10 seconds. All right, there should not be too many credits to start with, and they should be for roughly about 10 seconds. If you think that your film is not getting over and you still need those 10 seconds, your credits can come over the last 10 seconds of your film also. They can come on black, they can be static, they can be rolling, they can be in any style you want. All right, credits is important. It's a deliverable I see that you have, and credits. Please acknowledge the footage bank where you have taken footage from. Please acknowledge the music artist where you have taken music from. All right. Please acknowledge the experts. Please acknowledge your mentors, your course mentors, your fellowship mentors. Please acknowledge everyone who has helped you to do what you are doing for this, for in your film, to make that film. All right. But please remember, if you're using copyright free music and visuals, बाकी किसी को credit दो ना दो, उन्हें जरूर दे देना, because if you don't give credit and if this is going up on social media, it is not a good thing. If someone catches it, you will be told to pull down that film, or the institution will be told to pull down that film, because copyright free stuff is put over there so that people can use it, but credit goes to the artists who have made it, and that's very important. Okay. And once you have done everything, then you will export it out in the formats that Alta has asked you to export it out, and you will give it to her. All right. Any questions so far before we get into using your camera? Some small
I had a question. So ma'am, in the starting of the session, you were talking about, suppose you were giving the example of Niagara Falls, and suppose we give a first image, like video of the Niagara Falls, and we attach, like some NASA scientist has said the water is going to finish in a couple of years. So that is how our minds react to negative bias. They pick it up very quickly, right? So this is a story we want to narrate of the Niagara Falls. It's a sad story. It's something you need to get alert about. What if we want to narrate a success story? How should we start a success, a happy story? How do we start that?
Okay, so stories of hope, stories of conservation, stories of someone doing something great are always good stories. They're always stories that sell. Everybody wants them. Everybody likes that feel-good factor. Okay, that's why I think one of the biggest problems is that people, get, because we don't mainstream talking about issues. Unfortunately, the problem is that networks only want stories of hope. They want to inspire, which is fine. And if you want to do something like that, you decide. You want to start with the problem and then get into the backstory, then go into what happened and what did that person do and how he succeeded and what he made and how he made it and now how it's changing lives. Or you can start with, here is this thing that has changed the lives of so many people and this is what it's doing. And then you can go into the backstory of who it is, what did it do and how it is. There is no formula for this. You decide that. As a storyteller, you decide it. Okay? If it's a story of hope, you can start with the problem, go end on positivity. You can start with positivity, talk about all the issues and problems and the DIY that happened to make that to overcome that problem in the middle, and again end on positivity. But if it's a story of hope, remember, it's important to show the impact that it has created or the potential of the impact that it can create. All right? That's very important. A story of hope, if you're putting in, should not be a fairy tale. It should show the actual impact. You know, water is now coming to 60,000 villages in the northeast of India. Is a tangible impact because once somebody decided to lay a pipeline. I'm just giving an example. All right? Or if this pipeline is to be constructed, this can happen over here, and that can happen, and that can happen. That is the hope. You know, impact films, when you create, impact films is a category basically where it's like either you're showing the impact of what has happened or you're trying to influence policy. So supposing there's a village which has never had electricity, all right? You create this whole thing about, if electricity were to come into this village, what are the potential changes that are going to happen? So you create a film like that, all right? And then you take it to the policymakers and put that film, that 5-minute, 1-minute film, as a documentation of showing why electricity should reach that village. This is the suffering that people are going through. This is the potential of electricity. This is what the potential it holds if electricity were to come to this village. Those are impact campaign films. But yes, you can make a film like that, and it's purely up to you how you want to do it. There's no formula. Any other question?
Bhavna, please go on.
Ma'am, what should be the app dimensions of the background of the video while editing? App dimensions. Okay, I'll just write.
I think Bhavna is asking about the dimensions of the frame size or something like that.
Okay, so I was going to cover this in mobile phone, but I think I should talk about it. Okay, any video that you take off the internet, all right, or you're going to film on your mobile phone, it should be in vertical mode. Please don't use this mode. What is this called? It should be just vertical mode. Sorry, it should not be vertical mode. It should be horizontal mode. Okay, landscape is what you should be using. This is an editing nightmare. Mobile phones, maybe it works, but when you start putting this format onto, say, YouTube, you'll have blacks on the sides, which is not okay. This is the format that it should be in. All right. Then, so ideally a widescreen 16:9, 1080 by 1280, which is the HD frame size that comes. All right, widescreen 16:9, horizontal format, landscape format, whatever you call it. That is what you should be using. That is what you should be. Your camera, if you're using this camera, phone camera, is what it should be. All right. Always keep it steady. Tripod is very important. All right. shake is not good, is not ideal. So please try to keep this as stable as possible. All right. One very important thing, if you're interviewing somebody, or you are going to be there in your film yourself talking, all right, very important to decide where the person is going to look. Your expert also, all right. Should the expert be talking to the audience in the camera, or should be talking to the interview? You got to decide that. It depends again a lot on the tone of your film. All right. If you are talking to, if you are going to be there in the film and you're going to be talking to your audiences, you can't be looking here, you can't be looking there, you can't be looking there. Remember, if you're doing this, what we call video selfie, where you're talking, don't look at yourself talking. Look at the camera in your phone. Right now, I am looking at the camera in my computer. And this is me looking at Bhavna. Is there a difference? Yeah. So if you have someone making a statement, if you have someone who's trying to give a call to action, whether it's you or anybody, all right, save water. Me saying save water versus me saying save water. There is a difference. So if there is someone who's giving a call to action, they should look straight into the lens. Talk to the audience. All right. If you're interviewing a child or any other person, you decide. You want the person to talk to the audience, or you keep a particular frame and you can sit there and tell the person to talk to you. All right. Those are different styles, which is purely up to the filmmaker as to what you want to do. But certain things like video selfies, videos, if you're doing where you are talking to your audience, please look at the lens and don't look at yourself talking. Okay. That look makes all the difference, changes the impact. Got it? Yeah. Other small little things is with your phone, yeah, vertical mode, horizontal mode, keep it stable, where you're talking, exploit the phone. You might have slow motion, time lapse, there are lots of features that are there in this. If someone is making something, and it's a 3-minute process of making something, you can either shoot sequences, all right, we'll come to that. You can either shoot sequences, or you can just record the whole thing from a great angle where everything is covered in time-lapse mode, right? That's another option. So exploit your phone. It has features that you can exploit. Now, the very important thing about filming, whether it's from your DSLR or from your phone, is giving a perspective change. You can have everything in landscape mode full wide. You can go close to the action or the subject. Sorry, 1 second. Sorry. So don't be afraid. Supposing someone is closing the tab, you take a wide shot. You can go closer from a different angle to take a mid shot. You can go even closer to take a very tight or a close-up shot. You can go top angle. You can go down, low angle, looking up. You can look straight. Play around. Don't have just one kind of frame. Variety comes from the wide shots, the close-ups, the mid shots. All right. And don't be afraid to move. And if it's possible, make your subject move if you have to. And when I say don't be afraid to move, I mean that your wide shot, medium shot, and close-up shot should not be from the same angle. Don't just keep standing there. You take a wide from this perspective. And you want to, after that, put a close-up shot of that hand closing the tap, or that part from where once the tap is closed, the water has stopped dripping, to have some emphasis. Take it close, go to a different angle, go close to the tap and take a close-up shot where only maybe just the hand, fingertips and the tap are visible. That's it. Take it from a different angle. Don't just stand there and zoom in. Zooming in is the worst thing you can do. It pixelates, it destroys the quality. It's a nightmare in post-production. Don't zoom in. You go close or go further away if you want a wide shot. Okay? Zooming in, zooming out is strict no, 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 no. Unless, of course, on shot to create some effect, you want to zoom in and zoom out, you can do it. But remember, there are, in post-production, you get filters or you get those thingies for creating that effect also. All right? Okay? When you're doing interviews, if you're doing interviews, and this is not just for this film, even for the future, okay? When you're doing interviews, don't record one interview endlessly. Ask a question, record. Once you press record, ask the question, get the person to say the answer, and cut. Next question is next record session. Next question is next record session. Otherwise, what will happen is you will have a 30-minute video and you will be going back and forth, listening to it and saying 1 minute, 1 second, 3 minutes, 45 seconds. Those are the lines you want. It is a nightmare. One question, one answer, one clip. It's a short clip to deal with. It makes your life simpler. You can work with a 40-minute video clip also for one interview. Choice is yours. I'm only trying to make this simple and more easy for you. All right. Try to give a variety of visuals. All right. But in some of the examples that I showed you, example that Conservation International film when nature was talking. No, not that. I'm forgetting right now. But there was another film. It was only wide shots. I think it was the one with no music, with only music and no text or no animation. That example. It was just wide, beautiful shots. Okay. Now that is something you can play around. That's a style you can play around with visuals that you can download from the internet. If you get those kind of epic visuals. All right. There was no close up in that shot. There was no mid. Everything was wide. Because it was talking about the greatness, the epicness of everything. All right. But it again depends on your take as to what you're trying to say it and how you're trying to say it. Okay. Framing, when you're doing an interview or you're filming something, don't cut off the person's head too much. Don't do an interview tilted up or tilted down. Straight. Either something to the side if you don't want a front angle, keep your phone a little bit on the side like that, or keep it bang in the front if you want them to talk to the camera. All right. Keep a little bit of headroom on top. All right. Keep a little bit of headroom and a little bit of this. In post, when you're in post-production, you can cut it down if you want. But it's better to have it than not have it. If there are people talking, interviews or any such things, remember to write their name, like a little Ashton band or a little thingy that pops up to tell you who this person is or this expert is, the designation or the institute they are affiliated with. All right. If you're filming with people, it's mandatory, and because this may be for an institute, you use something called a release form. If you don't have it on paper, it's something you record verbally, record on camera, where it's basically that the person you're filming with does not have an objection to you using their interview or their visuals. I can send a sample to Alka if required, okay, of a written release form. But the content is that the person who's being filmed or interviewed, they don't have a problem for you to use that recording in any way possible in connection to the film that you're making. It is a very important thing. You cannot film publicly, even if it is in places where no permission is required. You can't just take shots of people like that and post it anywhere in a film. You have to take their consent, especially so if it is children. Do not forget that they have rights too. It's more important when you're filming in slightly economically backward areas. Again, do not forget that those people don't have rights to privacy. They do. Their consent is also very important. If they don't want you to film them, please do not film them or push the camera into their faces. It's not acceptable. Remember, filmmaking is also, as much as it is an art, it's going to be creative. It's also something you have to be very human about, because those are the conditions that you're going to work in, whether you're making a film on water conservation, animal husbandry, agriculture, or you're shooting in Leh Ladakh with Shah Rukh Khan. Okay? Filmmaking involves dealing with people, unless, of course, you're just doing an animation film all by yourself, sitting in a studio where there's no interaction with other people. But still, okay? So never ever, after you make a film, never ever leave a place giving bad memories to the people and the place. When you leave, people should remember that you came there and you did something with them, for them, on behalf of them. Leave them with happy memories. Don't leave a place polluted. Don't leave a place slithered with your garbage. No. And take consent. If they cannot read or you don't have the time to get a written consent, when you start an interview, just say, do you have a problem? Please tell us your name. What do you do? Where do you, please tell us your name and the city you live in. Do you have an objection to us filming with you and using your interview in this film? That's it, you've recorded it. Otherwise, the written release form thing, I will send it to Alka for a sample. All right? Any other questions?
Akanksha, can you type, can you, in the chat, mention some editing software, easy ones that they can use? Because end of the day, we don't want them to feel is a, kind of a humongous task and my God, what exactly I've signed up for in this fellowship. Should not happen. So I just want them to enjoy the filmmaking process.
In today's time, all these phones have video editing softwares also.
Yeah. And if somebody is using, online conversation or some interview, then what is the kind of do's and don'ts?
Obviously, the first do's and don'ts for online is the person should know that you are recording. Okay? That's the first important thing, that the person should know you're recording and that recording is going to be used in the film. I mean, that's really the only do and don't. The other thing is whether you want the film to, the screen to be split where you see both your face and the speaker's face, or you just want the speaker's face, whatever it is that you decide what the frame should be. But online, very important, the person should know and say yes to the recording and the consent that they allow you to use that recording in the film that you're making.
We had very interesting experience, Akanksha, very interesting one. We were doing a felicitation ceremony online, and there we have asked a video bite from UNEP head Atul Bagai and UNEP India head. So he was somewhere, we said, record. We gave him a lot of specification on where the camera should be, lighting should be, sound and everything. But then, I don't know, somehow he was uncomfortable. He said, come on MS Team and you record my, speech. And that was fine. We told him to, how to place your this and that all. And now what happened, the light, the way he had put, it was a lot of glare on his specs. And by the time we got our video back, the glare was making him like a ghost. And he was not ready to give us another. Obviously, he was busy. And we had this, the way it came, it was in one small frame like this, vertical, and rest of the blank spaces. And then his, I wish I can show you that. And we just couldn't do anything. We had to use the way it was in our felicitation ceremony, but it was a ghost-like thing, total black on both sides, with eyes, literally, this portion was lighting like anything. And that's it.
That's very important. That's a very important point Alka has brought up is lighting. You're not probably going to use as much artificial light because you might be filming outdoors. Remember, the subject you're filming or the action you're filming, the light should fall on that, not on the lens of the camera, not behind the subject or the action. Whoever you're filming or whatever you're filming, the action, the subject that is there, light should fall on that. Okay? Then it will be well lit. Sometimes what happens is, हम कुछ shoot कर रहे हैं and the action is happening in the shade and it's very well lit at the back. What will happen is, so the action of the subject will be very dark. ऊपर से the background might bleach. It will be too bright. All right, where you will not be able to use that clip, and if you use it, it doesn't make sense because it's going to be a really bad clip. So change your position, change the subject's position or the action where it's happening, you change it. If live action is happening and you can't do anything, you can move around. You can, if you're using your phone camera, remember you have the advantage of this very small little instrument which can go up, down, top angle, bottom. You can move around and take from different angles. If you're filming somebody who is wearing glasses, all right, and obviously it's in a room or even if it is outdoors, all right, and you don't have any lights. If you have a light, the light should fall not front on their face or not from the top. If it falls from the top, remember it will create a shadow at the base, which is not nice. If it falls from the front, if they're wearing glasses, it'll shine and it'll be too much of reflection. If they're comfortable, ask them to remove their glasses. If they cannot, you can definitely not have the camera then right in front of their face or the light right in front of their face. You will have to move the position of the camera or the light accordingly. Don't just put the camera in anyone's face and start recording. Decide your frame. It's a maker or a breaker in a film, the frames that you choose to do. And once you've fixed your frame, leave it there. Don't do an interview handheld. Okay, it is not good. So decide your frame, move around. What Alka was talking about is that face, where you can't see. The light was either at the back or bang in front of him and there's too much of reflection. It should not happen. It should be very well lit, the subject or the action. You should be able to see. It should be brighter than the surrounding. All right. If you have people with you and you don't have artificial lights and you need light, ask someone to switch on their mobile phone light to give you more light. Make someone a light stand. They just stand with their mobile phone ka light on and you will have the light that you want. This is me, interview right now happening. Okay, I'm not lit. It's dark. My background is much lighter. But this one little light makes all the difference. If I have it here, you will see a reflection in my eyes. You can see those two white dots. I just move it down a little. See, it's still lit. Sometimes you may have to move the light so it's closer or far away. It really depends. Okay, so either you have it on the side somewhere. It all depends on where or what kind of effect you want to give. So move around. Be very, very sure of, look at your frame. If you have someone recording on your behalf, please don't trust that the camera person or the person who's recording knows everything. Please ensure you check. Before you do the final recording of an interview, maybe, for example, check the frame. If it's a friend recording who doesn't know these nitty-gritties, you will have to just live with whatever has been recorded. And like Alka had said, he refused to give another interview. And then, what do you have a backup plan? Did you make a backup plan in pre-production? So it all ties together. One thing can lead, and when things go wrong, and in filmmaking, things are not, no matter how much of planning you do, A to Z, backup का भी backup plan है, फिर भी चीजें, इधर उधर हो जाती हैं. And the only way you can cover up for that or do something about that is by how smart are you? How quickly can you think on your feet? How quickly over there can you create a backup plan? I'll tell you a story. I was doing a series. I do a series called On the Brink. It's on Hotstar. There's an episode called Indian Pangolin. Watch it. Okay, on Hotstar. On the Brink, Indian Pangolin. All right. This was shot 2 years back, and I spent about 3.5 months writing a script. And the pangolin is an animal, it's the most trafficked animal in the world. Every 5 minutes, one pangolin is taken away from the wild. All right. अभी नहीं करना, बाद में करना, अभी सुनो कहानी, बाद में हॉटस्टार देखेंगे. All right. Okay, so I wrote this script. I sat for 3.5 months and I wrote this script. It was a 22-minute film I had to make. All right, and I said that if I get more funding or if I get the time, I want to make this into a 1 hour feature film. 1.5 hour feature film. That's the kind of beautiful script I wrote. And pre-production, everything happened. Yes, pangolin hai, hamare gaon mein aao, udhar aao, sab kiya. Everything final. And I land up in this place with my crew. Day one. I always take my day one very lightly. It's got scientists. So we were filming with all of that, arranging the other things. All that is going on. And I knew day 5 is when I have to start my pangolin shoot. People part I'll finish before that. Day 6, day 7, day 8, day 9, day 10, day 12, day 13, day 16. No pangolin. Not one shot as per script. But at the end of every day, when I came back to my room, I sat there and I changed the story. And I did that every day. Because once you don't get what you want, no matter how much you plan, it's downhill from there if you can't think straight. You can let that situation affect you and you can say, pack up, we're canceling this episode. I couldn't afford to do that. And I thought, okay, I made my people work at 12 o'clock at night saying, we're not going to get the pangolin. What's the backup? Call this person up. Find out if I can get a hunter. Find out this, find out that, And I made a story and you watch it. It's a very different film from what I had imagined. Okay. But I worked day in and day out to find the resources to make an interesting film on location as things were happening. And that's how you make a film. And that's how you create backups of backup plans. Things will not be in your control. You have to be prepared. Be very smart, be very alert. And learn to identify. This is not for filmmaking, but it is in general. Learn to recognize opportunities. Learn to exploit opportunities. I hate when someone says, I got lucky. Boss, you didn't get lucky. You actually exploited an opportunity. And there's no harm in doing that. There should be no shame in doing that. Ask questions. Till you don't ask questions, you will never know the answer and you'll make assumptions. And a world on assumptions is a world that doesn't last. All right? Don't think it's a stupid question. There is nothing called a stupid question. But the circumstances might make you uncomfortable. So if you're not comfortable asking openly in front of everyone, ask privately, ask separately, but have your questions answered so you know. There's something called information and there's something called knowledge. Information is data. What you do with that data, what you do with information is knowledge. And that is where the difference lies in everything between people about everything on this planet. How you get information and what you do with that information translates into knowledge. And then what do you do with that knowledge? All right? So don't be afraid of asking questions. There is nothing called a stupid question. Someone asked a stupid question or had a stupid thought that we have made the kind of advances we have made in the 21st century. And because people are not asking the right kind of questions about certain things, the world is still stuck somewhere in the dark ages on certain topics. Yeah. Anyone has anything else to say, to ask? I see that.
Yes.
Now see the situation that has got created. It's because either his laptop or his mobile screen were there, and that is the reflection. In a case like this, okay, which can happen if you're doing an online interview, all right, you should definitely ask the person to take off their glasses.
We did ask him, but he said, I can't read.
Comfortable. He is not comfortable. He cannot do it. He will not be
statement.
He then needs to, you need to start reducing the screen brightness, which will not impair his reading, but also will not cause such a massive glare in his eyes. A little bit, yes, will be there, and a little bit glare will be there. But what you also should do is put a little thing on the side on the screen saying online interview or recorded online. You can adjust or you can justify for that reflection. Like Bhavna, the reflection in your eyes right now is acceptable. What I see in that screenshot is absolutely no. So someone has to basically adjust the screen brightness. इतना भी नहीं कम होना चाहिए कुछ बंदे को दिखे ही ना. फिर तो ऐनक उतार दो और पीछे से कोई प्रॉम्प्ट ही करता रहे कि सर ये बोलना है. You know. Or the other thing is, if it is not much, actually someone stands there with text. क्या बोलते हैं वो teleprompter होता है. Lines on a sheet and he reads. You know, that's another option, but those are extreme circumstances.
I think he was doing it from his home. And plus, I think because of the COVID restriction, nobody was allowed to visit his home to do the shoot because we told him that option also. But all the options exhausted, this was the last option after so much coordination. And this is what we got.
Can't help it, you know, some things then are just what they are.
And it was very interesting that we had before him Niti Aayog person interview, and he was sitting in his office, very nice light camera work, and after that immediately kissing. It was such a contrast it was, and those were so relevant and so nicely, but nevertheless. Yes, so Cohort, any questions we have here in terms of our filmmaking? Is it, you know, you're thinking, my God, is quite a lot, or you need to, or it's helping you out in clearing your thought process? We have a month to go, and
it's not a scary process. Once you get into it, now you will really enjoy it. Trust me, you will. And it's okay if your first cut is 10 minutes long. It's okay. Till you don't do this exercise, you will not know. If you get scared and run away right now, honestly, it's an opportunity lost. Because you never know, it might be something that you might become a communicator of, you know, visual communicator. There might be the talent in you. If you don't do this, you will not realize it. Na mat karo. Koshish to karo. Nahi hota, backup plan blog ho sakta hai. That's all right. You know. But give it a try. It's not tough. And especially if a child today says, I can't create a film, I will refuse to believe it. Camera hai, laptop hai, mobile phone में इतने apps हैं, courses are available online, बहुत कुछ है करने के लिए. Effects भी आजकल filter की तरह मिल जाते हैं, you know. So,
yeah. Any questions anybody has, or we move towards, you know, closing this very, very interesting session? I think, Akanksha, your passion is so evidently visible. I think that's what keeps us going. The passion that because of it, all of them are here. And because of your passion, we are all interacting and talking about films. Actually, when you were talking, I was literally I was visualizing the film part of it. We used to collectively do film festival together, and that's where our connect, and that's one of the first love we have. So at least I also have that, but yeah.
Lot of sample films, you know what, just Google short film public service announcement. PSA is a public service announcement. PSA films, water conservation films. You know, you should also watch bad films, because when you see a bad film and you will say, oh God, I don't want to make a film like that, you know exactly what you will not want. That's important. You know, so watch good films, watch bad films. When you see a bad film, you'll say, oh God, I don't want that. I don't want to do that in my film. So you'll never put that into your script. You'll never put that into your planning. And when you watch a good film and you say, oh, I want my text like that, you'll go the extra length to figure out what font kaun sa hai. You know? So these are small things we pick up. We don't realize, but these are the small things we pick up from watching other films.
absolutely. Yes, fine. So I think I think they just start talking about Manika. Very fascinating, at least. I always find it very, very fascinating. And in fact, after a long time, Kanja, I'm hearing you like this. So very good. And let's just plan something else later. So Manika, yeah, we can just start closing it up. There's no questions then.
So, so basically, the recap of this whole session today is we have to, get an eye for detail in everything we're seeing. Basically, angles, frames, light, the emotions, the pace of the frame, the sound, the beats. Everything has to be very detailed, and we have to put a lot of brains and into it. But it's very exciting. I would say I'm very eager to learn, although it's a very new thing for most of us, I believe, but it's very exciting. And how ma'am has put it in such a jolly manner. It looks like, so it's challenging definitely, but it is going to be fun. I'm pretty sure about that. Thank you so much, ma'am, for you kind of lowered the level of intimidation. At least I was feeling when the session was going to start. I was kind of intimidated by the short films. How will I make a film? That's something people do in Bollywood and all. So how do I do that? But definitely you lowered my anxiety quite a lot, and I'm really excited to take this challenge up, and I believe all the cohort members will also agree with me on this one. So if anybody has to speak anything to ma'am, definitely please go either on the chat or just unmute yourself and we can take that up. Or
Yes,
otherwise
Sadan
we'll
is
just
trying
end it.
to type something. Sadan is trying to say something. Yeah.
I think I'll switch off my camera because I always have network issues. Good evening, ma'am. I hope I'm audible. And first and foremost, I'll go by Manika. Such में मतलब it feels like Bollywood. The lighting effects and everything you were talking about was like so wonderful. And the most important thing which I would like to share, जो मैंने learn किया आज के session से, वो है कि मतलब मेरे दिमाग में ये था कि when I'll be making this video, it will be just for us, people from our background, people who know what sustainability is, people who know what water conservation is. But now you have made me realize कि video making is an art, filmmaking is an art, और तब तक हमारी video या film common masses हर इंसान तक नहीं पहुंच सकती. I think तब तक हम failure हैं एक. एक ऐसी तरीके से हमें लाना चाहिए बना के ताकि उसे हर कोई समझ सके. So I think that is what I learned, कि it's not about the technical topic, but it's about the simplicity you come bring into the simplicity you bring into the picture. Thank you so much once again, ma'am. Thank you.
You're welcome. Also, it's very important, all of you think about the language of your film. Hindi mein karni hai, English mein karni hai. Think about it. It has a bearing. I mean, I don't know where these films will eventually go, but it's just, and if it's and whichever language you are comfortable in, which is your thinking language, is the language you should use in your film. अगर आप हिंदी में सोचते हो, हिंदी में ही बनाओ. English में बोलना is a different matter. सोचना, which language do you think in? Like I think in English, my mother thinks in Hindi. So whatever you are comfortable with is what language you should go with, and make a diversity. यार सबको English में क्यों बनानी है तो?
I'm saying but let me check my guidelines.
Oh, Achha, sorry, that is also there. That I must have missed it.
I didn't know about that, but yeah, the two places we're going to use them. We're going to have them obviously on YouTube, on our channel, but there's a blog specially dedicated to the fellowship and all the fellows. So all the information goes there, and we use in a lot of promotion. So and when we'll do felicitation ceremony on Facebook, our social media pages, then they all can kind of use it on social media pages, and the partners uses it. So actually there was a film was introduced this time, but there was something else last time. We felt it was photo narrative. We had everything PPT. You add photos, you add your caption, and done with it. But we felt that is very flat. So, and with the medium that we are, buzzing around with a lot of medium, why too unnecessary not tap on it? Sometimes they feel very, as Manika said, very intimated with the entire thing. But I think whatever, it's not about, we're not judging you by a great film that you're making, and the attempt you're making, that is what we're looking at. and communication. We're just actually trying to tell them different communication mode. So you have, because they have done their blogs and case studies, so some of them, are, though there's a deadline, trickling in, some have adhered to a deadline and they don't know. If they're not sending it by deadline, then there's some marks will be deducted. they don't know. We're very silently, quietly, mentioning and adding the dates. Okay, it is coming on this date, it's fine. Some, though, they take permissions also with some reasons. So just trying to,
I just need 30 seconds. I just need something. I'll just come back.
Yeah, sure. And we will close it, in fact, I think I'll also take this opportunity. Yeah, she's gone. Yeah, otherwise we can close it. So deadline-wise, you remember, we note down your details. And second, look at that. And again, I don't want to make it very marks-oriented thing altogether, but I want you to appreciate the process and be part of the process, feel disciplined about it, and follow this system. So then that's what we're just trying to tell you in terms of your leadership. When you're a leader, this all matters. And until as you create that kind of, role models, you won't be able to have others following you. So that's the reason deadline, this and that is all kept in mind to tell you, look, this is what has to be if you will go into your professional arena. So that's the reason Sanjay maintains all records, so that later we can tell you. Yeah, so I just was trying to tell you that there are different documentation format we are asking them to experience.
Yeah, I saw.
Yeah. So with this, I think if there's no more questions here, I think perfectly fine, Manika. I think you can close it, but on my behalf also, Akanksha is always, I think, a wonderful. Yeah, Badal has something. Okay, let me just have Badal saying things. Badal.
Actually, I was just wondering if you allow, if everyone allow me to, if everyone wants to visit, have a e-look of farm.
बादल अभी नहीं, अब ना मेरे भी थोड़ा edgy और late हो रही हूँ. मेरे बच्चे.
Yeah, sure, ma'am. I understand that. 3 hours now.
Badal, if the cohort would like to watch it, then that can be continued. You can continue with that. I'll not log you off. You take a, kind of consent with the cohort, but with Akanksha, I think, because almost 3 hours, my God. So Akanksha, thank you very much. It's always really wonderful. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much. And if there's anything, Alka, through this process, if anyone again wants to reach out, if they have anything, let me know. We'll try to figure out and do something else. Maybe when they're in probably their first cut stage or something, and they want to kind of show and have questions, I can come back. That's not a problem.
And don't worry, they will wake up on 25th.
All right. Thank you so much and all the best. All the best.
Thank you, Akanksha. Bye-bye.